initial reaction, besides expectations, was this is just a dumb action movie. That's funny. You have fun at it. And for me, like, it had its funny moments. Maybe lean into the humor way too much, a little too much MCU isms in this movie. Overall, though, like, in line with the tempered expectations. Definitely not the worst movie I've ever seen. It has some interesting, compelling points that I really was intrigued about, which was, I honestly was like very positively, like, going back to expectations, over expectations, very positive in that regard. But you felt the runtime was that short. It was choppy. Some shocking editing. Like, it just felt like some scenes were just cut out, honestly. And like lack of emotion at the end for me. That's where, like, for me, compared to other MCU movies, it's like, oh, like, I'm not really attached to these characters, and the ending didn't really hit me at all. I really don't care. So for me, like, it's kind of like hit or miss. If you're really into the MCU, you love the quirks and the humor, this movie's all for you, even though it's still technically not the best movie. But did I enjoy myself? Probably not, but I didn't hate myself at the movie. For an MCU fan, like, it could have been a lot worse. And that's tough to say because this movie wasn't great.
You sound very lukewarm on it. Jax, what were your experiences, your initial reactions?
It was fun, right? Like, I wasn't, and again, with those kind of tempered expectations, I wasn't expecting to walk out and be like, my God. But like, it was a fun movie. I probably liked it a little more than Flicks, it seems. It's not top 15 Marvel movies ever.
Yeah.
It's really not up there, but I had fun with it. I didn't go in there thinking it was going to be some crazy film, and it kind of lived up to where I thought it was about.
So from the sound of you guys, it's going to be in the lower two tiers, most likely, of our MCU tier. And we pull that out at the end of the review.
Spoiler alert.
So, guys, I got to say something, right? This movie, but like with the lead up and when it finally releases, it kind of gave me the latter part of the DCEU vibes. Yeah.
Wow.
So what I mean by that, these are characters we don't necessarily look forward to seeing on screen. Okay. Captain Marvel, like I said, the character has not aged well. There's been rumors that Brie Larson is sick of the character. Miss Marvel, it's a lesser viewed show. And then Monica Rambeau is kind of a tertiary character in WandaVision, which was a hit. It's also, we talk about box office failure, right? Expectations, we temper them a little bit. It's got a weak villain that we don't care about. And we can't, I didn't know the name of this villain really until like the final act of this movie. A lack of emotion, some sketchy CGI. I honestly was getting some DCEU vibes. But I will say, I think that Kamala Khan kind of saved the movie. And something that I was critical of Brie Larson, and something I still am critical with her, is her performance as Captain Marvel. I think it's pretty lifeless. Like, even her shedding a tear in this movie, I thought it was desperate. I thought they did try to do a lot of stuff with her character. They infuse humor. They have her sing a couple songs. They have her play off of like a Kamala Khan. I still don't buy her as Captain Marvel, honestly. But Miss Marvel, just infectious energy on the screen. And I thought I was going to be sick of this character very early on. I hear this loud screeching noises. It's like listening to a baby shriek. I'm like, I'm not going to love this. I'm not going to love this. Right. And her going goo goo gaga over Captain Marvel. I'm like, this is a little weird. But she grew on me. And that's like, I think the intention of the character. And I felt like I was Captain Marvel, like hanging out with a Kamala Khan the entire movie. I thought she was excellent. And I'm not going to say it's going to push me to watch Miss Marvel. Right. I'm not going to go that deep, but I enjoyed her performance. Jax, you were very familiar with Kamala Khan. Is this like just the same character carried over from the show?
Yeah, 100%. Right. She's just like a bubbly teenager, just super happy, super excited all the time. Like, it's like kind of like a little dog that's all excited and just like gets overexcited and goes crazy. Like
puppy.
But she's like fun. It's fun to watch, right? Like, she's not a crazy deep character. There's not a whole lot of stuff kind of in the background of her character, but like, yeah, that's kind of exactly the same way she was in the show, Miss Marvel, too.
Yeah. Ricky Flex, what were your thoughts on Kamala?
Yeah, so for me, she's easily the best part of this movie, without a doubt. And I'll say, like, I say that while also saying this type of performance, teenager, plucky enthusiasm, the entire movie, that is not like my style at all. Okay, so I did get a little tired of her, but not because of, that's just me. Like I just don't like watching that. Like I don't like watching cringe-worthy stuff. Like The Office sometimes is too cringy for me. It's tough to watch sometimes. Not because it's bad, because it's good, but it's just tough to watch. Same with this. Like she's good. It's just sometimes for me tough to watch it. But overall good. And I have this hot take. This should have been a Miss Marvel movie.
Yeah.
Dude, if you think about it, like her family's in the movie. It's her house. It's her like coming a superhero type of origin type of movie. I know she had the show, but still, it's all around her armband. Yeah, like I think she had the most like factors in this movie, and she was clearly the best performer. And like you said, Doc, Brie Larson's not the guy. She's done. I don't think there's gonna be another Captain Marvel movie. They give her like a if we want to have it like a send off, they had like a mild send off at the end of this movie. Like,
you can't. No. It's not a send off. It's
like,
a recast.
I'm dead serious.
It's a recast.
There will not be another Captain Marvel movie.
It's a recast.
Is he? Oh yeah. Well, I think clearly by the post-credit scene, spoiler alert, like there's clearly, but I'm just saying Brie Larson will not be not star in another Marvel movie, like be the lead or one of the 3 co-leads.
Yeah, like seeing her in that final act hug Kamala Khan, I was just like, this is like LeBron Game 6, like taking off the Cavs jersey before free agency, before like the summer of the decision. Like she's had it, like she's done, she's out, like she doesn't want to be here.
They added other characters. Like think about that. They added a Miss Marvel and and Monica Rambeau to this movie. I think in part because she could not carry this movie.
Also, a little bit of DCEU vibes. Like Henry Cavill doesn't get a sequel for Superman. Instead, they have Batman versus Superman. They would try to make a team up movie, right? Trying to like, okay, if this person potentially didn't have success as a solo jaunt, maybe we put him alongside different characters, expand the universe a little bit. I'm just throwing it out there. I agree with you, Ricky. I think this movie would have been better without Monica Rambeau in it. You know, I honestly, and I know you have to have her with the post credit, and that's like the Marvel curse, you know, like that's their fatal flaw, it's their Achilles heel. Like they still have to always think about expanding and where the story goes next. But I think, and I thought Monica Rambeau, like I thought Teyonah Parris was really good. Like I liked her in this. I thought she was the second best performance behind Kamala Khan. But I think it would have been an interesting story if they had Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel in tandem. And it's a story that the script was very thin, but I thought you could have a story where like Kamala Khan is meeting her hero, and then the hero is not what she expects. Like being a hero is not what it's cracked up to be. Like they built that as a subplot somewhat in the story, but obviously wasn't expanded on. It's one of like the one of the many subplots that seems like it doesn't get elaborated on. But that's a movie I would have been more tempted to see, right? And they don't have to worry about as many flashbacks explaining the Maria Rambeau with Captain Marvel relationship, all that jazz. I think it would have been even tighter, and I thought it would have been a better movie. Jax, thoughts there?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Monica Rambeau kind of felt like a third wheel in a lot of the scenes. And as weird as that is to say, like it just like the fact that like Miss Marvel's hero is Captain Marvel, like it kind of makes it like their dialect is like, and then it's like Monica like on the outside looking. Like it was just kind of weird. It felt forced. But again, with the end credit scene, kind of need to do it. Like you need to have her in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I like Teyonah Parris as the actress.
Yeah.
They cloned Tyrone. Awesome performance. Underrated performance of the like supporting role there. But she's just like basically OB and Loki in this. She's kind of just saying what's going on and explaining, like just spitting out wisdom the entire movie, and that's really it. And then saying like, oh, you should have come home every like 20 minutes. Like Captain Marvel should have stopped home and said hi. Like it's been 30 years. You know, there's no emotional weight with that relationship at all. You felt more with the likability factor and the presence of Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel more, that likability and the presence, like I said. So versus Monica, you didn't. And the end, it like the movie clearly had three acts. It was short. It was, short and sweet. But when she, not dies, but it's like, okay. Even the characters, like Kamala Khan, like comes off in New York or whatever to see Nick Fury, and she's all sad saying like we lost Monica. And literally the next scene in Louisiana, she goes to Captain Marvel, when do you think Monica's coming back? And I'm like, what? Like, it's just like, oh, okay, we had that for 60 seconds. So again, like it never sold me. Never sold me. Never bought it for 1 second.
I thought the dynamics between the 3 characters were actually decent. in this movie. Like did make Brie Larson a little bit more likable in the role. I thought one of my favorite scenes is when they finally. It's like it's not for a movie that is constantly pushing to the next scene and it goes with the runtime. Like let's get to the next one, right? Let's get to the next fighting scene. Let's get to the final act, right? Let's get to that post credit. It seemed like they did take their time in one moment. It's them learning how to use their powers in tandem. That was low key one of my favorite scenes. Like that was cool to me. And then that's where the characterization came out a little bit that we really didn't have for the majority of the movie. And the Kamala like hugging Teyonah Parris because she lost her mom, right? And we didn't rely like eventually you get that flashback moment where it's like they wear those torture things that the scrolls have or whatever, and they go back, and then you have like the conflict between Carol Danvers and Monica Rambeau. But like just having that moment with Kamala hugging and doing the three-way hug, I was just like, okay, now I'm buying these characters do care for one another, and I do buy that like who Kamala Khan is, who's just like from that point on, I was like, oh, I like her. Like I'm in on her. You know, I don't really get that many moments with like a Carol Danvers, like her like crying, talking about how she took down the Supreme Intelligence. It doesn't move me, right? That's like the one scene that does. Everything that works about this movie, it might be from like the Miss Marvel aspect, not just her, but I thought also the only humor that really I was buying into was the family. That was hilarious. They were awesome. You know, the dad talking about the Roth IRA to the guy who's 306 years old. I thought the brother was insanely funny, even at the end with him muting his mom. Like all that stuff, that works for me. Okay. But other parts of this movie, I think we can kind of slide on to some other performances. Like the stuff they do with Nick Fury. Oh my God.
Oh boy.
Oh my God. Like how the mighty have fallen. You know, if like I'll just get I want to get your impressions first because I've been talking for a while. Flicks, thoughts on Nick Fury and his their take on him in this movie.
It's like, oh, you got Secret Invasion, you're good. Like, oh, we'll just do just some smart ass remarks with the Kamala family, you're good. The Khan family, and you're good. Like, there's no point. That whole storyline literally was pointless. It was just like, oh, for that funny bit with the cat at the end to get him off the ship. That literally was like what it was building up to. Crazy. Like it's Samuel L. Jackson, Nick Fury. Like we can't just. It's already a trio or the Marvels and not a Captain Marvel movie. Let alone you have Nick Fury as the fourth lead in his own storyline that means nothing. Samuel L. Jackson. Like I thought it was just disrespectful. And I think again, it had to be something like they cut stuff out. They had to because he literally was pointless in this movie.
Yeah, Jax, your thoughts?
Yeah, he shouldn't have been in it. His whole purpose was essentially to make sure like the Khan family was safe and like get them onto the spaceship, whatever. Like other than that, like there was no point. Like again, like you said, Doc, like how the mighty have fallen. Like it's Nick Fury, dude. Like he was the guy sitting in Captain America's room in Winter Soldier, like with the phone. And now he's cracking jokes with like I just didn't like it. I did not like it.
I'm seeing this turn from Nick Fury from like this like intimidating type of figure, right? This all-knowing type of figure, this man who lives in the shadows. And all of a sudden, like I see even that first scene with Kamala seeing Nick Fury. Nick Fury's that famous? Like he's not supposed to be that famous, right? Like Nick Fury is supposed to be a guy like that operates on the periphery, right? The guy who's not supposed to be widely seen. Maybe after Secret Invasion, he's a little more known, but like he's an operative, like he's a spy, like he shouldn't be like famous. Oh, Nick Fury, I love you. Like, how does she know him? I don't understand that. But what I really had an issue with is the dialogue and his jokes. It felt like it was really immature comedy. Like he makes like a rock paper scissors joke with Carol at the beginning that was really cringy. The delivery was weird. He yells out "Black Girl Magic" to Teyonah Parris as she's trying to fly. It just felt like it was really juvenile. And the approach to Nick Fury, and you take this serious type character and then do this to him, it's like what happened with Hulk, and like starts with Thor Ragnarok, right? Isn't seen since Age of Ultron, goes off. We put him back into a Taika Waititi movie. We get the most comedic Hulk we've ever had. But the problem with that, he was fine in the movie, but it carries over into Endgame and then into She-Hulk, and all of a sudden the identity of the character is gone. I'm afraid if we ever get Nick Fury back, it's bonus at this point. I associate him more with the early phases of the MCU. But now that you've had him from Secret Invasion, right, still like the core Nick Fury, but still not pure Nick Fury. And then you have him here. I'm nervous like how he's going to be portrayed again. I get it. He was in the initial Captain Marvel. We de-age him and all that jazz, but it just felt like a totally different character. Were you getting like Hulk vibes at all, Ricky Flex, what they did to that character?
Yes, dude. It literally was like, okay, you got your big break with Secret Invasion, and now it's like, all right, time for the sunset. That was the vibes I was getting. And Brie Larson had those comments this week. Obviously, the actor strike is over, so he was able to talk about the movie, saying how like Samuel Jackson's like a father to her or whatever, right? And like he kind of has like a similar like feeling towards her. And I'm just like, what are we doing? Like that's really like Chris Evans, like when he was Captain America, there was never any talk about that. Like that's I have a bad feeling. Like again, he just got too connected to these projects. I don't know. Or just like I don't know what's going on. But you're right. It just feels like we're going into the sunset, and he's like, oh, it's a retirement gig now. That's not good.
It is.
You know, it literally feels like retirement now.
He feels like he's like getting a part-time paycheck, you know. He's already put in the paperwork. He's done, you know. He'll show up when he needs to every once in a while, and he's kind of mailing it in. You know, he's kind of mailing it in. It doesn't feel like he is an important or integral part of the MCU any longer, especially as it expands. It gets more cosmic. We talk about multiverses. Like he's not as essential of a character anymore. So it's like, man, should we have gotten Secret Invasion? The character kind of earned it, right, from all his like contributions earlier on in the universe. But maybe they should just let him go right after Endgame, right? Like, just let him be.
You know? Like we're not getting any like in James Bond. We're not getting any M spinoffs. You know, maybe we just like don't do that. You know, like
it sounded good. It sounded good.
Let side character, not even minor characters, like side characters. Just let them be. They are that for a reason. They are not the heroes.
Like, but I think it's I think you guys are both right. Like riding off into the sunset, we're going to start seeing all these new teams, which Nick Fury isn't really associated with. So it's kind of like, yes, it's Samuel, like he's the GOAT, but like, all right, let's cut the cord a little bit here. Like we don't need him around.
Good point.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, we've got to the point where it's self-referential. It's to the point where Kamala Khan is pretending to be Nick Fury. And like, how does she know? Like, she must have had a conversation with Nick Fury. Like, how did you approach like Tony Stark about the Avenger Initiative? I'm going to do the same thing. You know, to me, there's something weird about that. Just having that type of moment with him in the movie. Okay. Other thoughts here. Performances. Dar-Ben is the villain. Ricky Flex. What's his actress's name? Do you know?
Crap. Hold on. I tried to memorize it for the pod. Could not.
It's Tom Hiddleston's
Zaw Ashton.
What were you saying, Jax?
Oh no, I was just saying. I know it's Tom Hiddleston's like partner or whatever. That's all I know.
Is it really?
Is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy. Like they
Ricky,
both.
Go ahead. Yeah.
That is crazy.
Like Loki just ended like season finale, and then this movie comes out like same time. Just interesting.
It's like Obi-Wan and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, right? Ewan McGregor and Mary Elizabeth Winstead with Obi-Wan and then Ahsoka. Ricky Flex, say the name again one more time.
Zaw, Z-A-W-E, Ashton.
Zaw Ashton. Okay. So relatively unknown actress, I would say. I don't know much of her work, but it kind of makes sense because I didn't really care for this villain. It's very forgettable. It also reminded me of early MCU villain issues, to be honest, them being underwritten. It seems like a lot of characters are being crammed into this movie. We're focusing more on the hero's dynamic here. The only thing we get really with Dar-Ben is like that one flashback sequence with Captain Marvel taking down the Supreme Intelligence. And then we get a lot of like exposition that's explained to us. And that is they're really throwing a lot at the audience. And Ricky Flex, thoughts on your girl Zaw?
Yeah, underwritten. I think her story was pretty cool. I think compelling. You know, she needs resources to rebuild her planet, and Captain Marvel killed the AI, which was basically their like controlled everything on their planet, and she needs, you know, get everything back in order as the leader. Interesting story, just underwritten. And I think one of the things that I could say, like you mentioned Thor: Love and Thunder, Jax.
Mm-hmm.
That another underwritten character with an interesting story. You know, Christian Bale's doing in that. But again, like when I say underwritten, at least like he was like it's Christian Bale, and he's putting in a freaking not just a shift. He's putting in he scored a goal and 2 assists for the game. You know, here like you know, Zaw put in a shift, but She had like a couple checks, maybe like got into a
Grinder, just a
scrum.
grinder, third liner.
Yeah, just 12 minutes in a hockey game, like 12 minutes, a grinder, fourth liner. Like, I don't know. Like, she wasn't a superstar. So, like, it's not her fault. It's just also like she didn't give anything to make it just better than ordinary.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Jax?
Yeah, I mean, again, like kind of really underwhelming. Totally forgettable, to be 100% honest. Like,
Yeah.
but you need that, right? Like, because obviously with us going into the multiversal war and all that stuff, like there needed to be some way in these basically in every movie that we see moving forward, there has to be something that gives us a look into another universe or anything like that. So this was that.
Always keep moving forward.
Exactly.
And I agree with both you guys. Like the motivation for the character is pretty good, right? And I talked about earlier. If we just remove Teyonah Parris from this movie, as talented as she is, if you remove her from this movie and you have this dynamic between Carol and Kamala looking up to her hero, but she sees the failure of Captain Marvel, who she thought could do no wrong with this planet. Like that's a good movie. Like that could be a really good movie, and you could focus more, like a little bit more on the villain here. I thought there was limited screen time as well for that villain. I think that was just a part of like having too much thrown into like this movie. Honestly, overstuffed.
We had one flashback to explain the villain, like 30 seconds, you know? And again, like it's good motivation. And like also it could have, and like the Captain Marvel side of it, the guilt that she feels and the burden of being a villain, or sorry, a hero, and not being the Annihilator, right? So like it had some stuff that I could have used. But I just think it was, again, it was an hour 45, very short. It felt it, you know, you definitely felt like all the cuts. So yeah, I just think that, you know, like we're used to these 2.5 hour movies, especially in superhero world right now. So I think we could have done something here to kind of bridge the gap and kind of help her out a little bit, as in my girl Za. But end of the day, just nothing.
Let her cook, dude. Like let her cook for a couple scenes. Don't just like have her like every scene she's in, she's fighting or being attacked. Like let her cook. Like she's a villain in a Marvel movie. That's really hard to like attain in this day and age. Like that's a big deal if you're a villain in a Marvel movie, you know? And this just didn't feel like she really got a chance to shine as much in this movie, but there was some potential. Flick, she brought up the runtime here and the pacing. It's the shortest movie in the history of the MCU. It seemed like this movie kind of hit the ground running immediately. You had the three characters changing like locales. They're introduced to them like within the first 10 minutes, like all three of these different characters. Do you think the short runtime worked here, or was it a benefit or a detriment?
For me, like it was good to clear out some fluff, especially with like when you have three characters as like the co-leads. It's positive, right? But again, like a lot of things felt forced, and it felt like the plot was just getting pushed along. You know, we're just nudging along, right? And again, like you felt it in a bad way, and that's not good. Like it's good when you can get a movie under 2 hours and the pacing just feels clean. You know, this wasn't clean. It wasn't smooth. This was choppy. This was bumpy. So that's the problem. Where on paper it seems great, but then when you watch the movie and you could feel it, that's not good.
Yeah, I was getting the vibes that they cut it up, right? This movie, I think, I was like, oh, short runtime, it's brisk. Like we've been looking for that. It's like characters that it's like sometimes I'm okay with a 3 hour movie if it's an Avenger movie. Like I want to see all these characters. If it's three characters I'm not in love with, I don't mind a brisk runtime, and I don't have to spend extra time like with these characters. You know, like something like the Eternals. I thought that's a really bloated movie. That's a really long movie, and that's the opposite of this movie. Like it really goes into like some of the backgrounds of those characters. But yeah, I thought it actually felt like it was a detriment, the short runtime, because it felt like scenes were getting hacked. There was like you talked about the editing, Ricky. It felt like there was some uneasy like transitions, and it hits the ground running, but like you sacrifice a lot of the characterization opportunities. This is a lot of characters to dive into, and with a short runtime and it's action scene after action scene, it's really hard to like actually gain any like feelings for them. And I felt really empty after watching this movie.
The Variety article. Okay, I hate I'm gonna bring this up a couple times.
Here we go.
I know it's normal, but after watching this movie, going back to the Variety article where it says Nia DaCosta, the director on this and also co-writer, left during post-production. I don't know, man. Like I think that yes, it's normal to go over like to your separate project. Again, this was like in Atlanta, I think, and her next project was in England. But her leaving now looks bad. It does, because if you feel the movie like this, leaving in post-production, like now that is a bad sign for me, saying like, yeah, they needed you probably. Or she was just pissed off and she said, you know what? This is a Kevin Feige production. This is not my name. It could have been that too. But yeah, I think now the Variety article like that, I was like, I kind of swept that under the rug. Now I'm bringing that back from under the rug. I'm bringing that back out and saying that's legit.
You think there's a little more to it, her leaving the movie?
I do think so now after seeing it.
Wow. Interesting. And then she said like what 4 different times they've changed the release date. Like she was sick of probably editing it. Maybe she was annoyed by the process. Maybe Marvel doesn't like the direction. Hey, I think more people would watch the documentary on how the Marvels was made than the movie itself.
That's a good take. I like that take.
Jax, what do you think of the runtime?
Yeah, I mean, it was fine, right? I think if we had more time, we could have dove a little more into the villain, got more information, kind of saw the background a little bit more. I think it was in a sense of like, right, we don't need to build up Monica Rambeau's like backstory because we know it. We don't need to do that for Carol Danvers. We don't need to do that for Kamala Khan either if you saw Miss Marvel. Like, so yeah, great. Like hit the ground running. Let's get into it. Let's ride. But again, then you introduce this villain and it's just like, okay, what was she doing? Like what's her deal? Like, they have no resources. Okay, what else? Like
yeah, I like honestly like some of the dialogue, the mumbo jumbo. I was just like, I'm lost. Like I honestly didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know the character. I didn't know the villain's name until like right at the end. I'm like Darben. That's
Darben.
it.
I lost. Yeah. I forgot it too. But I was like, oh, like again, like going back to the Obi stuff with the temporal loom. At least like we know like where the direction is. Here, like they kind of kept us like in the dark, which could have been very powerful if they gave the villain more screen time and more actual like lines here, kind of going around her motivations. And not be so in the dark about her motivations. Like, I feel like that could have worked, but they just didn't execute it at all.
Where I wanted to kind of transition to is something a little bit more fun to talk about. It's some of the scenes that, the more humorous scenes, whether it's going to different planets or it's like Roger's the cat's name, correct? Is it Roger? What's the cat's name?
Goose.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got Roger from. I don't know.
Where did you get that?
I don't know. I think that's a good cat name. Roger. Hey, Raj.
That would be pretty good.
Roger. I don't know where I got that. Sure. But like I thought there was the cat scene somewhat worked for me, where the cat is like basically almost like Alien, like on a ship. I think it was kind of channeling that. I thought it was a very funny scene, to be honest. And when it has like the cat's needle drop, right? Great song, by the way, so good. I have a funny story about cats after this. Just remind me to tell it. But like, I thought that was good. But I was thinking like this budget is $220 million. Like literally, how much of the budget went into this scene?
Oh
like
my
that
God.
Is crazy that they went all the way in on this cat sequence, right? When this movie takes place in the cosmos. Like, could we have a scene more with Darben and something more maybe relevant to the story rather than just like the fun aspect? But I gotta be honest, I kind of dug the scene.
That is an interesting take. How much money was this scene out of this budget? 20 million? Could it have been 20 million? I don't know. But I'm just saying that's an interesting question. I think it's a good follow-up. Also, I'll remind you about the cat if you remind me about ask about my movie theater experience. Okay. But I was keeping tabs on this in my theater because I had a packed Dolby theater. All right. There was like one row that wasn't pretty, like my row, and the back row wasn't really filled out, but everything else was pretty much filled. Right.
Wow.
This movie was supposed to be funny, like throughout, right? Not a lot of theater laughs in my theater until this cat scene. This cat scene, the whole theater was going nuts. Like cackling like this
Guardians
is
vibes.
2000s movie. Yeah. It was hilarious. I love this scene. And they hinted at it earlier saying like that cat's looking big, or like, is it okay? And then they had the eggs. Like, yeah, it's a stupid plot line, but it's funny, and I love this cat, this kitten Goose. I do love him. And again, remind me about my theater because I have something related to this too. But yeah, Jax, what do you think?
Yeah, I like the scene was great. It was funny, right? Again, it's supposed to be fun. I liked when one of the people on the ship was like they ran behind like the wall and they were hiding and like looking over their shoulder, and then they just turn around and Goose is sitting right there.
That was good.
That's perfect. But yeah, it was fun. I mean, the eggs thing too, like that totally made zero sense to me the whole time. Like, obviously, I know the cats came from those eggs, but I was just like, oh my god, like, is this something like some Marvel lore? Like, is something gonna happen right now? Like,
You're like
it was just
Googling, like, what is this cat egg? What is this cat egg? Is this gonna lead to like Secret Wars? Like, what? Have you guys? Have either of you guys like either seen the play Cats or the movie Cats?
No.
So
This is a Mayo Nez question.
when yeah, that's true. Shout out Mayo. Yeah, the Pixar correspondent and also Harry Potter correspondent. Right, he's a two-way player. But Cats, I first saw the play on VHS when I was like 5 years old. A kid that I used to go to his house for like play dates and stuff. I feel like every time we were at his house, we were watching Cats for a weird reason. Like he loved cats, his parents loved cats, but like also had like 3 cats. And that was the first, and I didn't know what it meant. I was 5 years old, what it meant to be allergic to cats. So like I was afraid of cats back then. And I think I was afraid because of like seeing like the cats singing in Cats in on a hazy VHS that has like the black and white that cuts across the screen, like a really old VHS tape. So like eventually I just said, I'm allergic to cats, like to this kid, like on like the 3rd play date. And I thought it just meant I don't like cats. So like I never went on another play date with that kid. So I
End of
never,
the friendship.
I stopped watching Cats. I never watched it again. Never watched the movie. The kid basically, we grew up somewhat together, but like we never hung out again. So our relationship ended over like the play Cats.
hysterical.
Yeah, it's saying I also can't go over the kid's house because the mom thinks I'm allergic to cats when I'm just like I'm just afraid of them and I'm scared of them.
Yeah. No. After seeing this movie, maybe I am too.
Dude, like
I'm kind of terrified too.
that
But-
song was good though. That's a good
That was
song.
a good song. And all right, so 2 theater experiences. I'll say one now because it's related to this. So I walk in the theater, right? AMC's buzzing. Great weekend for cinema, like just with all the movies out right now. I walk in, long line to scan my ticket, right? I get to the start of line and I see like this orange white looking thing coming out of a shell, and I'm like, what the hell is that thing? Like, is it Paw Patrol movie or something? I don't know.
Oh.
And then I see the movie and I see this egg in the movie, and I'm like, oh my god, wait, that's gonna be a cat. Dude, AMC was selling the freaking cat out of an egg popcorn buckets at the freaking right when you scan your ticket. They were spoiling the movie. So in the movie, I got spoiled about the cats.
There was
the
a
AMC popcorn bucket.
The popcorn bucket had a cat in it too.
Yes, it had Goose in it. I realized,
Wow.
I was like, crap, that was Goose. It literally spoiled it.
That's crazy.
I'm going to AMC tomorrow because I'm going to see Dream Scenario starring Nick Cage tomorrow. And I will take a picture of this tomorrow and tweet it out and put it on the Insta. Like, dude, it literally spoiled the movie. And like after coming out of the movie theater, I went straight to it. I'm like, yeah, that is freaking Goose coming out of the freaking red egg.
Yeah, I saw that. It didn't register to me until now that was promotion for the Captain Marvel movie. You couldn't have like the Captain Marvel helmet, like that seems
They
obvious.
promoted the freaking cat.
Crazy. He does have his own
Like,
poster.
this isn't Groot.
Roger has his own poster.
It's a poor man's Groot. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's insane that they did that too. Like, like you'd think like back like for Love and Thunder, it was like Thor's, it was like Mjolnir or whatever, like the hammer. Like,
sick.
do something like that was sick. But do something like that. Like, you don't need to do the cat. Like, because people not seeing the movie, like, one, like, are they even gonna buy that? Because they're gonna be like, what the hell is this thing that I'm gonna eat popcorn out of?
Dude, I was like in the theater. I was like Usual Suspects, like putting everything together. Like, I'm seeing on the movie. I'm seeing the eggs. I'm seeing the cat. I'm like thinking back. It's like I dropped my freaking soda, just like the coffee. I'm like, oh my god,
yeah,
freaking John Doe. I thought it was insane. They literally spoiled the movie.
Yeah, that is nuts. I didn't anticipate that was. I thought it was for a kids movie too. It technically was for a kids movie. I thought it was either Paw Patrol. I'm like, is there like a dinosaur movie that's out right now that I don't know about or something? But good story, Ricky Flex. And also AMC. Jesus, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Okay. Other scene I wanted to talk about is the singing planet. Everyone speaks in song form. How cringy was this, Ricky Flex?
Again, this is not my thing. Not my thing. I hated this. Absolutely hated it. I appreciate the creativity around it, but God, I hated this. You speak in English. You're fine. Like, you're singing, whatever. The bilingual bit was funny, though. I
That
will
was
say,
funny.
always bilingual.
That's the
I will say
funniest
that
line
was
in
a
the
funny
history
bit.
of Captain Marvel.
That was funny. But yeah, this did not work for me. And this world, speaking of guilt of being a superhero, that world just doesn't have water anymore. They didn't give it back. Like,
Yeah.
we just said peace to that world and their resources, their main resource. Like that's they didn't come together with that full circle. That's a loose end.
Yeah. No, they're still out there. Yeah, they're still
No
struggling
water.
out there. Yeah. Jax, your thoughts on the singing planet?
That was one of the worst scenes I've seen in a Marvel movie, and like,
Wow.
Wow, did not see that coming.
I did not like it one bit. It's the dumbest thing ever. Like, what are we doing? Why do they have to sing? Like, there's no point. The best part about that whole scene, before the fight, is when they're like walking up the stairs and like Miss Marvel's like doing a little dance. I was like, oh, that's funny. But like, other than that, I was like, this is literally so stupid. It was
Yeah.
not bad of it at all.
They could have like gone all in, and I think I would have liked it a little bit better. Like if there was different like genres of music that they're singing, right? Like if someone's rapping and someone's doing like scream metal, and then you have other people doing like Broadway songs.
You
like that would have been cool.
Needed Lin-Manuel Miranda for that.
Yeah, I was also thinking like I think really tried to kind of transfer the character of Captain Marvel to the Marvels and said, let's just make this more fun, right? Let's give her more of a personality. She's playing off this younger kid who's like a super fan of hers. Maybe you can like have some nice dialogue there, but also we're gonna have you sing a little bit. We're gonna have you dance. We're gonna have like this really quirky storyline where you're secretly married, and I'm just like, okay, like I understand what you're doing a little bit here, and I can't see Brie Larson like looking at the script and being like, oh yeah, I'm coming back for Secret Wars. Like after this is really gonna put my character over the top. Like to me, it was a scene that really was cringy, just cringy the entire time. The bilingual like dad joke really did save the scene. But yeah, and then you did Kamala and Teyonah Parris had nothing to do until like the fight sequence. Like that happens like 10 minutes later, Okay. Any other thoughts on the film, flaws, strengths before we hit our scores, Flicks?
Okay, we got to also mention this. We talked about the song world being cooked. Dude, the scrolls. Holy crap. They did it again. They did it again.
Dude.
Were you guys like, holy crap.
I got a take on this.
Okay, all right, I'll let you go first then.
This is the Krull diaspora. Like this is like, you think of like the Jewish diaspora. Like they just like are being, it's like it's more serious. Obviously, I see all your faces after I say that, but like the way that they are taking this group of people and they are neglecting them, and they're being pushed, and they are being transported and migrated to different areas of the universe. It seems like no one is really taking considerate care for this group of people. It's kind of like suspect the way they're being treated right now, especially after Secret Invasion.
Suspect. Literally, Asgard, aliens can come in and have a place and become a tourist destination and commingle peacefully. But hey, the green people can't. Like, that's not cool. It's suspect. Like that, I'm telling you, that is not cool. And they did it again. And Secret Invasion was only a few months ago. Crazy how they did this.
Jax, you were a massive fan of Secret Invasion. Can you tell us your thoughts?
I was literally like in the theater, and I was just like, I literally in my head, I was like, again. I was like, are we seriously, we're doing it again? Like, these poor people, man. They just want to chill too. Like they're good. They're a good group. They just want to hang, and like no one will let them. That's every crazy. Time.
They had to live on a nuclear power plant, for God's sakes, or whatever. Like that's it. They should just forget about it. Like this is just, again, suspect. You just gotta forget about them now. Don't bring them back. Don't even mention them on a next door movie or whatever. Don't mention them within Asgard. Forget about them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but like we can't. If we ignore it, Ricky Flicks, we're contributing to like the neglect.
I'm
right? We
nervous
have
they're
to-
gonna mess
we-
them up in Asgard. What if they're
Ah.
just like minimum wage workers in Asgard or something even disrespectful like that? Like
Yeah.
I'm nervous for them if they're shown again in the MCU.
I had a question for you, MCU correspondent Jax. Is this in the MCU timeline? Is this before or after Secret Invasion?
this is in. It would be after
After.
percent.
Um,
Yeah,
Is Nick Fury's wife supposed to be in space, or was she left on the planet on Earth?
She's dead, right?
No, I thought she.
No.
No, she had the Planet of the Apes moment where she like kisses him right before like the final sequence. I didn't think she was dead.
God, I don't know. I
yeah.
just remember Gaia being the most powerful superhero on the planet or the world universe.
Stupid, but yes. I don't know where she is. If we're being 100% honest, they never
Didn't
like,
do my
they-
homework.
It
made me.
had to have been. Didn't she go? See, now I got to rewind. Now you're gonna make me.
No,
rewind.
no, 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 no. You
No,
don't
no,
have to.
no,
You
no,
don't
it's a
have to.
quick look up. It's a
to.
Google.
But like there was a lack of like this last time we saw Nick Fury was in his own show, Secret Invasion, and they just like decided not to bring up any of the events afterwards. We talk about like basically having Nick Fury be used as a comedic device here. I have a feeling they're going to retcon Secret Invasion, boys. Like they're going to pretend none of this happened.
That's a good take.
And I could
Damn, I
see
wish I had
Kevin.
that take.
I think Kevin Feige is going to say this was a failure. We set up. It wasn't thought. It wasn't well thought. It wasn't setting up the universe up for success with the Gaia installation and how the scrolls, right? And they're basically the war that's taking place on Earth that we really aren't going to address in the future. And by the way they handle Nick Fury here, they might have cut some scenes that referenced Secret Invasion, and they were just like, nope, we're done with this. This could be the first time we have like had a retcon series in the MCU, similar to like an Inhumans, how that was kind of they didn't officially like say this is gone, right? But I think we're gonna have that with Secret Invasion.
They kind of need to, I think, right? Like, because again, we've talked about it, but like Gaia is just like so overpowered. Like in
Yeah.
any world beater scenario, like just give her a call. Like get up Nick Fury, just be like, yeah, hey, we need her. Bring in the closer, and then you're good. Like that's it.
But there has to be an
That's-
announcement. There has to be an announcement for it. Yeah, and like Gaia. That's like the big one for me, right? Her
Steve
and
Nebraska.
also this massive war that's happening. Like you could address it actually in Captain America: Brave New World. That's going to be the moment where it's like this is taking place on Earth of 616 or Earth 999, whatever it is. Okay, but like Brave New World, it has political like implications for the universe, so it's like you would have to address it there. So that's the moment I think we're going to realize if this is actually they're going to carry through what happened with Secret Invasion or not. Ricky Flex, look like you're about to say something.
No. I just that's a good take. The only thing I would say is like Ben Mendelsohn's character, he was like the general of the Skrulls, right? So it's kind of weird to explain that, like his exclusion. But then again, like there's not going to be another Skrull-centered project again, I think. So like I think we're fine if we retcon it. It's just, what do they have the balls to do it? The Konas? I don't know. Like that, like to say like we messed up. Like Bob Iger on an earnings call last week, he literally said like that quantity over quality is like bad, and that's what happened here, and they sucked basically recently. He admitted that. So if they admit one more time, but it's Feige doing it, can Feige do that? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, because I haven't heard that yet. I haven't seen that on social media, so that's a good take. I like that.
Okay, and I also think the leader of that refugee Skrull colony, I think it also what you had there, you could have like if this was a Captain Marvel, look at the failures of her, right, as a hero, and come on, kind of looking up to this person who has failures, even as powerful as she is. Like that could have been really impactful, where it's the leader of the Skrulls basically saying like, "Yo, do not touch the Skrulls anymore. Like I do not want you helping us out because nothing but bad things have been happening to us." Right, like in that moment too, that's another like opportunity, right, if you have that type of movie. So I think we should do scores, and then we'll jump to the post credits afterwards. I'm lumping the Haley Steinfeld scene. This is spoiler free. This is spoiler, excuse me. So we're good. But with this Haley Steinfeld scene, despite it not really being a post credit, we're going to treat it as the post credit, and then we'll jump into that other one soon enough. But let's just go to scores. Jax. Have you know how the scoring system works here?
No. Do
Okay.
we go
So
1 out of 10? Do we go like
1 out of 100. I'll have Ricky Flicks lead off, and then I'll go, and then you'll finish off. Okay.
okay? Let's ride.
I kind of want the guest to go first.
Okay.
Just like I
okay.
don't want to influence him.
I gotta set the table.
No, like I have my score locked and loaded, but I don't want to say anything and influence you.
Okay. I'm gonna go. I wish I could give a range. I'm gonna say 71.
Okay. 71.
I was between like 65 and 75, so we'll go there.
All right. Ricky Flex, your thoughts, your score.
Oh boy. Yeah, no. Crap.
Yeah, no.
This is why it's good that he went first, because I gave his 47.
I also I gave it a 48.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Can we cut this?
no. This is good. This is good. No, but this is your brand, Jax. Like you
That's right.
own that 71. You own
I'm
that, right?
You know what? I'm right. Flicks,
Th-
you guys are too hard. Flicks and Doc.
Yeah, you're not
RT.
alone. But like we've been rating movies for the last like 2.5 years. So it's like that's like the first movie you've rated. So now it's like when you come back, it would be like, oh, do I have to change a rating here? Do I have to do a mulligan here? You know, you do have that opportunity. You're the MCU correspondent. So when we look at the next Marvel project and we put a score to it, you'll reference that and like, okay, now then you get like a balance of your system a little bit. Okay. Let's jump to post credit.